The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. vowed that his administration will address the pay gap between nurses working in government hospitals and those working in the private sector.
Educational cash assistance applicants may encounter difficulties while registering through the DSWD's online portal.
Signal number 1 was raised over Batanes and the northeastern portion of the Babuyan Islands as Super Typhoon Henry weakens.
More cops will be deployed in crime-prone areas amid the expected rise in crimes during the Burr months.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, the 1st of September 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts. I am Harding Delgado.
First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. fights for equal pay for both government and private nurses. The president also wants to address the unequal distribution of health professionals in the country. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. said that among his administration's goals is raising the profile and improving the working conditions of nurses. Speaking at the 100th anniversary celebration of Philippine Nurses Association, the president vowed that his administration will address the disparity in salaries between nurses working in government hospitals and those working in the private sector.
This executive department, together with Congress, will work with you to achieve these goals. As part of our goal to raise the profile and improve the working condition of nurses, we seek to address the disparity in salaries between nurses in government hospitals with those in the private sector.
He also stressed the need to address the uneven distribution of nurses in the country by also addressing issues related to health facilities, benefits, and security and tenure. President Marcos said the government recognizes the hard work and sacrifices Filipino nurses make, acknowledging that the benefits nurses and healthcare workers get may be lacking.
Please know, sa palagay ko, kulang pa yan eh. Medyo hirap tayo sa pondo ngayon. Kaya sa ngayon, ganyan lang muna. Pero palagay ko, binubuhay nyo yung may sakit eh. Ibang usapan yan. Walang, mahirap lagyan ng balor, ng dolyar, ng piso, yung trabahong ginagawa ninyo.
The president also said he would raise the deployment of nurses overseas, just as he promised to address their profession's problems in the country.
We will open more slots for the deployment of nurses abroad while striving to improve opportunities domestically.
The government earlier imposed a 7,500 deployment cap for health workers abroad. At the height of the pandemic, the government imposed a deployment ban, later a deployment cap on nurses to keep them from leaving the country following gaps in local hospital personnel. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Applicants for educational cash assistance may encounter difficulties while registering online through the Department of Social Welfare and Development's portal. JP Dunez will tell us why.
More than 1.4 million people have already registered for the Educational Cash Assistance Program through the Department of Social Welfare and Development's online application. A problem with the system is now being caused by the entire database filling to its maximum capacity. A few applicants may now experience problems while registering online, says DSWD.
Napupuno po yun kasi po yan ay may database, ano po. So parang ang ating po example dyan, yung luma nating cellphone, yung mga GSM, na pagpuno na yung inbox, hindi ka na makatanggap ng bagong message. Yun po nangyayari.
DSWD spokesperson and Assistant Secretary Romel Lopez explains that the department has not yet sent text messages to all applicants because they still need to do verification. The department is also carrying out a regional strategic message confirmation sending. DSWD appeals to applicants who have already registered online to avoid a new registration as it will add to their database and lose chances for other applicants.
Yung iba naiinip na hindi nakakatanggap ng mga messages, naiinip, magre-register uli. O so dadami na naman po. So aming panawagan sa ating mga kababayan, pag nakapag-register na po sila, hintayin na lang yung text confirmation para hindi na papatong pa ng papatong at bigyan natin ng pagkakataon yung iba na makapag-register din.
The department advises applicants to be patient because it still has more than 1 billion pesos to disburse till September 24. The department's previous data indicated that more than 153,000 students were served. It constitutes to almost 388 million pesos of cash assistance that has been distributed. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Vice President defended its planned budget for 2023, which is more than 3 times the amount allotted in 2022. Janice Inhente explains why.
In response to criticism of Vice President Sara Duterte's proposed budget for the position, which is 3 times more than that of former Vice President Leni Robredo, OVP spokesperson Attorney Reynold Monsayak stated that the OVP's Good Governance Fund are earmarked for the public assistance programs focused on basic social services, including financial subsidy, medical and burial assistance, libreng sakay, and livelihood programs. OVP will, however, be transparent in how it uses the proposed 2.3 billion pesos budget for 2023, according to Monsayak.
So sisiguraduhin po namin na ito pong pondo na ito gagamitin ng tama at para suportahan lang yung mga programa ng Office of the Vice President. Yung good governance na label ho yan, actually, yung tumutukoy ho karamihan ng programa dyan sa financial subsidy. Ito ho yung ating public assistance programs.
OVP under VP Duterte is seeking a total of 2,305,396,000 fund for next year, which is 3 times higher than the 702 million pesos 2022 budget estimated by former VP Robredo. Monsayak, however, claims that the 500 million pesos in confidential expenses would be used to support national security initiatives for peace and order.
Doon sa circular na yon, malinaw naman kung saan lang pwedeng gamitin ng confidential funds. Of course, the position and mandate of the Vice President allows her to utilize those kinds of funds regarding peace and order and national security. Especially, we have livelihood projects that will be implemented in conflict areas in our attempt to maintain peace order and pursue national security projects.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police will deploy more cops in streets. This is part of the PNP's anti-criminality campaign to avoid petty crimes this month. Leia Ilagan reports.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. promised that more police officers will be deployed on the streets, particularly in public areas like shopping malls, parks, and places of convergence. This is done to prevent criminals from profiting off shoppers during the holiday seasons.
As always po, lagi po natin ina-anticipate ang pagtaas po ng krimen pagdating po ng bear months. That's why ang atin pong utos po sa ating kapulisan, hindi lamang dito sa National Capital Region, ay kailangan po ay nandoon po yung ating police presence.
Azurin said that police presence is more required for public safety.
So we'll be deploying po ang ating mga mobile forces, even to the point of deploying po ang ating staff. Kailangan po ay all over po ang ating kapulisan, specifically doon po sa mga crime-prone areas. And I have directed po lahat po ng ating mga district directors to inform po lahat po ng mga barangay ano po ang crime affectation ng kanilang barangay so that we would know kung saan po tayo magdi-deploy. Malalaman din po natin ano po ang intervention na gagawin natin at ano po ang tulong na kayang ibigay po ng bawat barangay para nang sa ganun ay yung bang tulong-tulong, yung sama-sama po tayo na sugpuin po ang kriminalidad dito po sa ating komunidad.
Azurin earlier reported that index crime has been on a steady downtrend in the country during President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s 56 days in office. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, American and South Korean troops held large-scale military drills near the border between North and South Korea. This has caused criticism from North Korea, South Korea, and American onlookers. Miguel Maldez will tell us why.
As part of the effort to step up military cooperation and to showcase their strong military alliance, the US and South Korea combined forces to hold their first live-fire exercises in South Korea. Critics of the US and South Korea, such as North Korea, say that the military exercises are a rehearsal for war. American and South Korean troops, however, see the drills as routine and mandatory to deter North Korea's nuclear ambitions in missile testing as diplomatic efforts prove ineffective. The military exercises are much needed since they were postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Troops also say practice is needed, particularly with large-scale combat operations, which is a lesson they learned from observing the war in Ukraine. Tanks, machine guns, mortars, howitzers, and various aircraft were included in the military drill. Experts say the drills are another sign of the US and South Korea strengthening their alliance. Miguel Maldez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
South Korea is looking into the pulse of the masses about the military service exemption of its famous boy band, BTS. Nerissa Dando will tell us why live. Yes, Nerissa, go ahead.
Good evening, Marielle. BTS military service is a hot topic in South Korea today as its oldest member, Jin, is facing military enlistment in December. A public survey may be conducted to help analyze whether the famous boy band should be exempted to military service. The ministry will look into other factors such as BTS economic effect and overall national interest. South Korea's Defense Minister Lee Jong-suk later clarified that he ordered officials to examine whether a public survey is needed. In a statement, the minister also pointed out that a third-party organization will carry out the survey should they decide to push through with it. The result of which is just one of the determining factors before the ministry decides on a military service exemption. South Korea mandates all able-bodied men in their country to serve in the military for 18 to 21 months. Some government officials have called for changing the scope of military exemptions to include Kpop stars as they have elevated the country's image. Marielle?
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Marielle. The government is making serious preparations for Super Typhoon Henry's potential effects, particularly in northern Luzon. A preemptive evacuation is possible in thousands of residents in advance of the hazard that the weather disturbance may cause. Ray Palayo will tell us why.
Around 81,000 individuals from high-risk barangays in northern Luzon may be evacuated before the impact of Tropical Cyclone Henry that already reached Super Typhoon category. Based on the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council's first assessment, the affected areas may include Batanes, Cagayan, Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Norte, Benguet, Mountain Province, Abra, Apayao, and Ifugao.
Meron kasi tayong na-identify na high risk na 270 barangays, no? High risk to floods and landslide. 270 po ito. Yan po ay ini-expect natin magkaroon ng preemptive evacuation.
Henry is expected to intensify the effect of the southwest monsoon in the western section of Luzon and Visayas.
Dito sa western part, lalo na Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Norte, Pangasinan, yung Region 1, may mga landslide and flash floods tayong ini-expect dyan. Kasi saturated na yung lupa, kalalampas lang ng Florida, kaya ini-expect natin na magkakaroon ng flash floods dyan and landslide. So, but ito nga, babantayan natin yan kasi expected natin yung habagat maramdaman natin sa areas na yan.
Tropical Cyclone Florida's entry into the country earlier this month improved the southwest monsoon, causing the government to suspend classes in Metro Manila and related areas. But Pag-asa said the rains scenario in the next days would not be the same.
May mga paminsan-minsang ulan. So hindi to tulad yung naranasan natin noong nakaraan na nagdeklara ng walang pasok. So hindi naman ganun yung inaasahan natin. Kasi one thing, masyadong mataas itong lokasyon nitong bagyong Henry at nakikita natin na yung hatak niya ay hanggang dito lamang, ngunit may mga some parts dito dahil nga sa southwest flow nagkakaroon ng mga pag-ulan. So maliit ang chance na mag-suspend tayo ng pasok bukas except dun sa extreme northern Luzon kasi yun yung direktang tatamaan na magkakaroon tayo ng signal ngayong araw.
Despite this, Pag-asa advised the public to be prepared, particularly when a thunderstorm affects their region because it may also bring about heavy rain. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Despite the threat of a super typhoon, the joint search and rescue exercise on Saturday will push through according to the Philippine and the United States Coast Guard. Dante Amento will tell us why.
The third combined search and rescue exercise between the U.S. Coast Guard and the Philippine Coast Guard will take place at Lubang Island in Occidental Mindoro on Saturday, September 3. The PCG said that the activity will proceed even in the face of a possible super typhoon Henry onslaught.
Alam po natin na kasalukuyan meron pong bagyo dito sa ating Pilipinas, especially sa northern part of our country, but then the exercise will still continue and will push through.
The U.S. Coast Guard, however, assures the safe conduct of the drills.
So basically, we are trying to make sure that this typhoon is going to be safe for both of our crew members because it is a training environment. We want to make sure that we are being as safe as possible, all while conducting as much engagements as we can.
The U.S. Coast Guard added they are ready to provide assistance such as rescue operations if necessary.
You know, if any situation happens and we do assist the Philippine Coast Guard, we are more than happy to. It might not be our area of responsibility, but we are partners and we want to keep that partnership going and showing that we are one Coast Guard even though we are two different countries.
Early this afternoon, the U.S. and Philippine Coast Guard crew and officers joined the Brigada Escuela in Manila. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 was raised in Batanes and the northeastern area of Babuyan Islands due to Super Typhoon Henry. According to the State Weather Bureau Pag-asa, Henry slightly weakened as it begins to decelerate south-southwestward over the Philippine Sea. The eye of Henry was last spotted 400 kilometers east-northeast of Itbayat, Batanes, with maximum sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 230 kilometers per hour. Pag-asa warned residents of Batanes and the northeastern portion of Babuyan Islands against potential hazards. Moderate to heavy rains may prevail over Batanes, while light to moderate with at times heavy rains is expected in Babuyan Islands in the next 24 hours. Henry may exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Saturday evening or Sunday morning.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, repurposes the cameras being used for the no-contact apprehension policy, this time to fight extortion in traffic enforcement. Asher Cadapan Jr. explains why.
Reports of extortion among traffic law enforcers have been relentless, and now that the no-contact apprehension policy is suspended, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority is on guard against it. This is while the MMDA intensifies its physical apprehension in major thoroughfares in Metro Manila. MMDA Task Force Special Operations and Anti-Colorum Unit Chief Edison Bong Nebria says they will be using the cameras utilizing NCAP to make sure enforcers are doing their job.
Ngayon, ang binabatehan niya, mga enforcer. So, iniikot yung camera, tinitignan yung deployment for one, tinitignan kung anong ginagawa ng enforcer. Pag may nanghuhuli, itututok na yung camera doon, titignan kung na-i-issue ng ticket o hindi. Pag hindi na-issue ng ticket, tatanungin bakit hindi in-issuean.
The MMDA reminds motorists that bribing or engaging themselves in extortion with traffic enforcers just leads them to become part of the problem. Instead, the agency encourages motorists to report to them any act of extortion by traffic law enforcers.
Pag kayo kinutongan ng enforcer namin, isumbong nyo po. Hindi po namin tinotolerate yan. Huwag nyo rin silang bigyan. Kunin nyo po yung pangalan. Kunin nyo, pag kinukutongan kayo, even insinuating na mahal yan ang babayaran nyo, may seminar yan.
The MMDA continuously appeals to motorists to observe traffic rules despite suspension of NCAP. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
New and updated COVID-19 booster shots, which offer greater protection against the latest variants, have been approved by the United States. Paul Gatchalian will give us the details live. Yes, Paul?
Marielle, while the original vaccines still provide optimal protection against current variants and prevent severe hospitalization, a new booster was due. Dr. Peter Marks of the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, explained the changes in the updated booster.
Omicron itself has evolved, with BA.5 now the most common circulating variant. The new bivalent or two-component boosters containing the original and BA.4/5 components are designed to update the immune system to provide better protection against these latest viral variants.
The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, have yet to recommend who should get the booster shot. However, they have stated that it is not to be administered as a first vaccination because reinfection is still possible even after the latest Omicron booster. Dr. Marks urged the need for a booster refresher to gain protection against the contagious BA.5. Currently, the updated boosters made by Pfizer are for those 12 and above. Meanwhile, boosters made by Moderna are only for adults. It's also recommended that they receive the booster 2 months after an initial vaccination or booster shot. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian, reporting live. The government of Ontario has announced that asymptomatic COVID-positive residents will be allowed in public as long as masks are being worn. Chief Medical Officer Kieran Moore said that the easing of restrictions was possible because of the hybrid immunity caused by vaccinations and exposure to multiple COVID variants. While infected residents are allowed in the public, they are still encouraged not to visit high-risk areas like hospitals. Additionally, Ontario's government is also planning to begin vaccinations of COVID booster shots to ages 5 to 11 at the start of September. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Marielle Latoza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
The head of the powerful Senate Blue Ribbon Committee confirms that Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez will not attend once again the probe on the sugar importation controversy. However, minority senators maintain the inquiry cannot be terminated until they get to ask questions to the Executive Secretary. This report will tell us why. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Francis Tolentino believes there will be personalities to be held accountable in the sugar importation fiasco. This as the senator announces he will release a partial committee report containing recommendations and established facts as a result of the panel's investigation. Tolentino says filing of charges against erring individuals will be recommended.
Meron po. Hindi lang ako magbabanggit ng pangalan. I don't want to preempt. I don't want to prejudge. I don't want to be biased. I don't want to pre-conclude. It has to be based on facts.
Meanwhile, Tolentino confirms Executive Secretary Victor Rodriguez may not be able to attend once again the Senate probe. The Blue Ribbon chief reveals he received a letter from Rodriguez stating his schedule, including the state visits of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. next week and the upcoming United Nations General Assembly.
Basically, ginagalang niya ang karapatan ng Blue Ribbon Committee at naniniwala siya na nasagot niya na yung mga dapat tanungin.
Tolentino says he has given the copy of Rodriguez's letter to the members of the committee and he will leave it up to his colleagues to decide on the matter.
We take into consideration all his activities which are relevant. Alam naman po natin na vital siya sa Office of the President. So, hintayin na lang po natin. We always presume good faith. Baka talagang busy siya.
However, minority senators expressed dismay. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel says the investigation cannot be terminated until they get to cross-examine the Executive Secretary. He adds it is their right as members of the Blue Ribbon panel and that it is only fair for those mentioned in the testimony of Rodriguez. For her part, Senator Risa Hontiveros questions the supposed exemption of Rodriguez. Evading the probe, according to Hontiveros, only raises even more speculations on the part of Rodriguez. The senator hopes that it will not come to a point that they would have to release a subpoena just for the Executive Secretary to face the panel. Rodriguez has yet to comment on the matter. In the previous hearings, the minority senators said they want to directly ask questions to Rodriguez, including his role in the events leading up to the signing of the controversial Sugar Order No. 4. The third and final hearing of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee on the sugar importation fiasco is set next week. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, the mayor of Cebu City declared that he has not halted the implementation of the law requiring face masks. Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and local government said they are looking into putting Cebu City as a pilot for the non-obligatory wearing of face mask. Eileen Cerudo reports.
Cebu City Mayor Mike Rama said the Executive Order No. 5 he signed is to make wearing of face mask optional in public indoor and outdoor spaces. In a public briefing, the mayor said he did not lift the mandatory face mask policy implemented nationwide.
Wala naman akong nililift ng mask mandate ng face mask. Nagdideclare na ako ng use of face mask within the territorial jurisdiction as non-obligatory but as a measure of individual self-preservation and protection.
He also said that private establishments have the right to impose a mandatory face mask. This also includes hospitals and other healthcare facilities.
Yung executive order ko naman, very clear yan eh. Pag tinitingnan mo yung open spaces, wala, face mask not required. Nire-review ko yung executive order ko. Wala naman ako dapat actually ililift. Wala naman akong sinasabing huwag na kayong mag-wear ng face mask. Ang ginagawa ko, non-obligatory lang. Pero yung mga specific, nandun pa rin.
Mayor Rama also confirmed he had talks with Interior and Local Government Secretary Attorney Benjamin Albalos Jr. regarding the issue. Secretary Albalos said he wants to harmonize the laws implemented in the local and national level. He also stressed that the country is still under state of public health emergency and the mandatory face mask policy should not be lifted. However, the official said he is open to review the EO implemented by Cebu City Mayor Rama. According to Secretary Abalos, he will have a meeting with the Interagency Task Force regarding the non-obligatory wearing of face masks.
I promise I will bring this to the IATF next week. And not only that, I will even move that Cebu be a pilot here. But we have to have a process, and we have to have one policy here in the whole country. If Cebu will prove probably in 2 weeks or 3 weeks na po pwede na mag-mask, why not? At least we have something to start on. And what is more important, we harmonize everything.
Meanwhile, Mandaue and Lapu-Lapu City are also eyeing to make the wearing of face masks optional. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the Global Prayer for Humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 31, it says, "Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God." Behind the News, September 1, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Hardy Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.